G'day everyone and welcome to Chris Rankin's Music Crush. Just a bit of a listening video, wanting to show some really great new releases of this year that I've been listening to. Sort of some of them going back, listening, revisiting, still trying to whittle my massive list of loved new releases down to a final top 100. Obviously not everything I have on as a physical copy, but just listening to them all, and I just thought I'd show some of the things I've been listening to recently. No, not a long list. So we'll get right into it. First of all, this is definitely going to be very high up on my end of year list. Absolutely adore this album. Everything about this album, just everything. It's one of those albums that you get, or record or whatever, that it's just a complete package. The music, what it's about, the way it's produced and crafted, the artwork, everything physical that came with the record, just fantastic. What makes that very impressive to me is that it's a solo artist, a one-man project, and it's his debut album as well. So just quite amazing. But it's really, I don't know, I really appreciate the effort of when someone goes in to give you a full, complete package of everything. It's really tremendous. So the album, I'll take it out of its plastic. So the album I'm talking about, the band or the artist, is called Canon in Fiber. As you can probably tell, he's from Germany. He goes by the actual name of Noise as his solo name, but as this project, he's going by Canon in Fiber. And this is his debut album. Well, certainly under that name. And the album is called Menschenmühle. So Canon and Fiber. Now my German isn't great, I'm still learning it, but is Cannon Fever. And Menschenmühle means, I looked it up, it means human mill. And you can see by the artwork, that's also what it's about. I mean, the artwork just doesn't get much better than that. Now, what this is all about, and I've got my glasses here because I'm gonna actually read a little bit from, you get this wonderful booklet with the record as well, and I'll read you a little bit what it's all about. I want to use the words in there so I don't stuff it up. But basically what this is all about is World War One. And so there's the gatefold. So not only do you get great artwork, but you also get some great actual real photos from World War One. Now apparently this artwork is taken from an anti-war propaganda poster, I think 1917 or 1918, something like that. But I mean, it's just fantastic. It just sums it all up quite well, doesn't it? The music is brilliant. So forget about everything else for a second. The music on its own is just brilliant. A combination of black metal and death metal, but extremely catchy. Very, very, very catchy. If I say it's black and roll, that might put a few people off, but there is a little bit of that to it in all the good ways. Lots of sound effects from World War One. You can hear some, I guess, some radio excerpts from whether it's a war propaganda sort of speech or reports or all sorts of things. Lots of anti-aircraft gunfire you can hear throughout. You can hear bombs exploding, planes dive bombing. Fantastic. For an album of those two subgenres, black metal and death metal, it is very accessible, extremely accessible. okay, so if you completely dislike black metal and death metal, then no. But if you're sort of someone that teeters on the edge of that and sometimes dabbles in, this is a very accessible album for those two genres and the combining of the two. So what I will do, I'll get into the tracks in a minute, but I'll let me show you the records. We'll get that. Record. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't remember if it was one or two. Sometimes it's hard to remember when it's a gatefold, whether it's one or two records. So this came out this year. I can't quite remember when it was. I did mention it in one of my videos. Back then I didn't have the physical copy of it. So, I mean, everything about this package is fantastic. There's your colours. Just gorgeous. You get a nice, as you can see, nice sort of custom label on there. You get the two cannons that has become the logo. The sound is fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous sound. Oh, that's the back artwork as well. I've had this a little while now. Maybe a month or so, a couple of months or so, maybe. I ordered it as soon as halfway through listening to it, I just ordered it straight from the band's page. So this is the booklet that you get. It's really, really good. Great artwork, but what I love about it is this, you get, you get actual real photographs from the field. So it's all about World War I or the Great War. All through there, you know, so it's meant to be this whole thing of you're listening to the record, you're hearing the sound effects, you're thinking about the horrors that were going on. Whilst looking at the booklet, you've got the photos. It really is a full immersive, you know, it's almost like going into a World War I museum, I guess, but fully interactive. So I have got my glasses here, because I'm going to read you a bit from there. Not the whole thing, but I'm going to read you a bit because I want to get it right of how fantastic this record is and the way it was made. So here we go. And reading straight from here. This album, and this is straight from the artist, so this album is intended to commemorate the countless victims of World War I. Men were thrown into a differing reality where only survival would count. Death, fear and hunger as a steady companion in the waist-deep trenches filled with mud. One order transferred people into cannon fodder in the human mill, World War I. The lyrical background of Mention Mule is based on factual reports, letters and other documents from the surviving and deceased soldiers. So as you can see, I wanted to read that. I wanted to get it right. I didn't want to misquote it or do anything wrong. So as you can see, it's not just someone thinking about World War I. It's historical. It's factual. He actually gathered all this together to make up. You know, it's almost like an extreme musical World War I encyclopedia in some ways. You know, it's just fantastic. I can't get enough of it. I absolutely can't. It might finish in my top 10. Either way, it'll certainly finish sort of in the top 20, I guess. Now, let me do my best with pronouncing the names. I'll leave my glasses on so I can read the back. Track 2, Dick Bertha. Very, very, very good song. Die Schlacht bei Tannenberg. The drumming on here is fantastic, especially on that song. Really sort of that military sound drumming, the snare, sort of military, like you're going into battle, like marching. So good. Absolutely love it. Probably my favourite song, or my equal favourite song on here, is the last track on side 1 called Der Letzte Flug. And this one is unreal. It's a bit more up tempo, very catchy, really gets into you, but it's also got the sound of planes dive bombing and anti-aircraft gunfire and all sorts of things. It's just magnificent. The second track on side 2, Grabenkampf, brilliant song. And then Dus Niemandsland, really catchy song, really catchy song. And now I quite like Rammstein. I don't have much of their stuff. I certainly, if I hear it, yeah, I think it's catchy and I groove along to it. And Du Niemandsland just starts to get a little bit of that hint of that Rammstein catchiness, the industrial factory. It's not an industrial sounding song at all, but it just gets a little bit of that ultra catchy Rammstein sound to it. Yeah, I can't rave about this album enough. I just can't. I think it's just, yeah, I could literally make a full 40-minute video about this. I just love everything about it. I think the artist has gone above and beyond making an absolute complete package that you put the record on the platter, you let it rip, you read the booklet, you think, yeah, it's just magnificent. I'm running out of adjectives because it's just so good. Love it to bits. A big round of applause to Noise because just everything about it. Now next, pulled this out of the archives. Hadn't listened to this for a while. This is a cracker of an album, an absolute beauty. One of the earlier Swedish heavy metal bands, along with like Heavy Load, 220 Volts. 220 Volts are Swedish, aren't they? Yeah, I think so, boy. Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure someone will let me know if they're not, but I'm pretty sure 220 Volts are Swedish. And anyway, if they were one of the early Swedish heavy metal bands. And here's another one called Glory Bells. Always loved the lead vocalist's name. I don't know whether this is his birth name or not, but lead vocalist's name, Glory North. Don't know if it's his real name or not. Great name though. Yeah, so this is their second album called Century Rendezvous. Absolutely love it. These days, I guess you might call it, it's got a little bit of traditional doom about it. Back then, I think really it's just heavy metal, just traditional heavy metal. And it's probably a little bit too fast in spots to be doom, really. But I have seen it called traditional doom a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. But anyway, brilliant album, absolutely brilliant album. If you don't have this or you don't know it, or what, I strongly suggest that you check it out if you like 80s metal, early 80s metal. So this is 1984. They started in 1980 and they had one album before this, which I can't remember the name of, but it has the big gold bell, sort of the black and gold bell, like a dark gold on the cover. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, I won't spend too long on it. That was 1982 from memory, and this was their second album, 1984, and that's all they ever did. Just brilliant. Absolutely love everything about this, and it's pretty heavy for its day. You know, not blisteringly brutal heavy, but, you know, it's 1984 and it's certainly heavy enough for them. Now, here's an interesting thing. Now, before you get sort of upset and think that I'm suggesting something I'm not, because remembering this band was in Sweden in 1984 and obviously Slayer was all the way over in the US. But so my favourite song on this album is called Flight Back Home. There is a riff near the start of Flight Back Home, very close to the start. And remember, this is 1984, that sounds so similar to that big famous riff in Raining Blood. almost exactly the same as when they repeat that big riff right near the end of the song, where they had the big drum and it plays that, and it's just that riff on its own. And Tom's doing Running Blood, it's wow, it is similar. I'm not suggesting that Slayer copied it, not at all. And it's, back then, Slayer probably didn't even hear this record. I don't know, who knows, whatever. But listen to Flight Back Home, that first opening riff, the big riff, you'll hear it, and yeah, I'd love to know what you think, because boy, it is so close. But yeah, that's my favourite song on the album, Flight Back Home. It's heavy, it's fast, it's just a brilliant sounding 80s heavy metal song. I also love After 12, one of my other favourite songs on here. Big Thunder, absolutely love Big Thunder. And the finishing song on here called In the Attic. In the Attic, brilliant song. So yeah, Glory Bells, interesting name. I don't really know where they got that name from. I've had this in my collection since the 80s. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but probably like 1 or 2 years after it came out. I saw it in a record shop somewhere, and probably I was like 11 or 12, and went, yeah, this will do. It was in the heavy metal section, so I thought, yep, this will do. And just love it, and I've held on to it. Well, I've never gotten rid of any of my records ever, so yeah, love it. If you like that sort of stuff, definitely check it out. I think you'll like it. Next, been listening to this masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. The artwork should let you know straight away that you're in for something both awesome and fucking interesting. I mean, there's no other way to say it. This band does things like no one else. So the weird thing about all of this is, especially this album, not every album, but especially this album, it's black metal, but with very strong Hindu both influences and sounds all throughout. There's chanting, there's all sorts of things to do with Hindu culture. You can see that the artwork is like a bastardized, demonized Hindu sort of artwork. But they're from Prague, Czech Republic, so there's another interesting part. Some of their songs are really full-on extreme black metal, no doubt about it. There are some songs that are the black metal, still quite full-on, but with lots of the Hindu sounds and the music and so forth. And then there are other songs that don't really have much of the black metal sound at all, and are really quite beautiful and quite calming and spiritual, and yeah, it's just such an interesting album. Another very interesting thing about this band, so they started 2009, 2010, I'm pretty sure it was 2010 actually. This is their second album, and one of the interesting things about this band is on each album, their logo and their name, and then the way the album title is written is in a different language or different script. So this one, I won't even be able to tell you all the track names and even the name of the album, because it's all written in Sanskrit. So each album, the title of the album is in a different script and language, and so is the text. That's the word I'm looking for, the text. I don't always show booklets for CDs, but I will for this one, because it's really quite amazing. So there's that incredible artwork again. And here we go. As you come through here, even on the CD, nowhere are the tracks listed that not in Sanskrit. So there's just no way I can even give you... The whole album's fantastic. There's no dud songs. And if you want a bit of a guide of what it sounds like, track 1 instantly will tell you. Track 1, everything that you're going to hear on that album, you'll hear a little bit on track 1. So if you did want to sample it at all and want to just a bit of a brief quick hear of whether you think you'll like it or not, track 1 gives you a bit of a guide of everything that they do and what you'll hear. You can just see the artwork is just, it's just weird, and I know also, I can't remember where I saw it, but I know sometimes when they're on stage, they sort of dress up in full costumes, like costumes that are sort of a mix between, quite evil and nasty, but also sort of Hindu influenced costumes. So there we go, there's the booklet. Great band, absolutely great band. They've got an album that came out this year. I can't remember what it's called now. Probably will finish in my top 100 as well. They're just brilliant. But yeah, Cult of Fire. I can't even tell you what the name of the album is called because as you can see there, I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's in Sanskrit as well. So all I will say is that this came out, if you're looking for it, it came out in 2000. So look for the Cult of Fire 2013 album or their second full-length album, and then look at that artwork and then give it a shot. Absolutely brilliant album. And also I've been listening to this, so I've been on a real, I've said many a time, I love sci-fi, science fiction, the stars, astronomy, all of that. Part of my job is doing tours up to an observatory and looking through telescopes and looking at the stars and talking to people about all that sort of stuff. So, but I love it anyway. It's something I love a lot. And I've been on a real big kick of sci-fi black metal. So black metal, but instead of it being about necessarily Tolkien or demons and Satan and evil stuff, I've been on a real kick of listening to black metal that's all about science fiction and the stars and the planets and intergalactic warfare and all sorts of stuff. And been listening to this. I mentioned this in a video a while back as a new release. I'm showing you the physical copy now. Once again, a stunning release. Absolutely fantastic. Everything about this package is so good. Now, let me do my best to describe this. So it's sci-fi, progressive, avant-garde, black metal with jazz fusion. Yes, that's right, jazz fusion. Another thing that I've talked to you guys and girls a little bit about before. So black metal bands that are bringing in jazz fusion sounds, saxophones, horns. Yeah, just love it. And this has it. This is just unreal. It's absolutely incredible. Tracks there, you'll be listening and it'll be progressive black metal, and then it'll go into some sort of soft moments and some real jazz fusion sounds with saxophones coming in, and you kind of forget there for a little while that it's even a black metal album at all. Really epic stuff. I mean, you've only got 5 tracks. This is a double LP. You've only got 5 tracks on the whole record, so you can sort of get where you're coming from. Although, side D is blank, is nothing on it, but still, it's nice and spaced out. They didn't try to fit the 5 tracks onto one disc. They've really spread it out nicely. Let me take it out of its plastic. I can show you. They are from, I think it's how you pronounce it, Nan from France. This is their second album. I think they've been around since about 2015. First album came out in 2018, and this is their second album. This came out this year. There's a poster inside. I won't bother taking that out because it looks exactly the same as the artwork. But there you go. You can kind of see what you're looking at, what you're getting into there. Gatefold. Interesting. There's no insert, so all your lyrics and everything are in the gatefold with pictures sort of helping you work out what might be going on in each song. And oh yeah, it does. I couldn't remember, but yeah, it is one full wraparound picture. So as you can see, It's a real mix of sort of fantasy and science fiction, but a little bit of the sort of typical stuff that you might see and associate with black metal. And here's something interesting. I'm trying to think how much this has happened before. I'm sure it has, but 2 discs and a double LP, and they're different colours. So there's one. I don't know if you can quite see it there, but it's got sort of smoke through it as well. I don't know how well that's, yeah, not really. But yeah, so that's one disc. Normally, I tend to find that, well, I can't think offhand now. Normally, when you get a double LP, they seem to be both the same colour. But yeah, this is quite interesting that you get 2 different colours in the LP. But yeah, that one's got some sort of swirls going through it as well, but you can't really see it very well. But yeah, so fantastic record, absolutely brilliant. Will also finish reasonably high up on my end of year list. Now what have we got? The opening song, Asphorus Altering Odyssey. There's quite a lot of Middle Eastern sort of sounds coming through it. Very interesting sort of sound. My favourite song on the album would be The Corrupted Sacrament, a second song that has a lot of the jazz fusion parts coming through. Absolutely love it. And then, I feel silly actually highlighting my favourite songs when there's only 5, but and then the finale of the Absurd Crusade Part 2, Collapse in Penance, is this big epic sort of twisting and turning finale of the album, and it really feels like that. Just everything that they've sort of been leading up to in this album is really brought to the top on that last song, and it's this big epic winding track. So yeah, just wow, love it. Love this sort of stuff, sci-fi black metal. But it really does move away quite a bit. It's not always black metal. As I say, you could almost put the lead genre as progressive metal or progressive avant-garde metal, and then have atmospheric black metal in your next line down. If you just sold it as straight atmospheric black metal, I don't think you're giving it enough to show that it's different from other things, in my opinion. And as I say, the jazz fusion comes through, like Imperial Triumphant, like White Ward. There's another band I can't think of right now that's doing it, but yeah, it's just fantastic. And the last one I'm going to show is a band called Elder from Tacoma, Washington State, in the US. Nice CD, came out this year. I love this album, love it a lot. I must admit, I'll be very honest, I do love it, and it's going to finish in my top 100, but I have cooled on it just slightly. Lots of artwork all the way through the booklet. You'll see there. Definitely some Tolkien influences. Also a lot of nature. So it's atmospheric black metal, but very much all about nature. Obviously from being up in Washington State, there's all that sort of part to it. This is their 4th album. Yeah, 4th. I'm pretty sure 4th. Sorry if I'm incorrect on that, but I'm pretty sure it's the 4th album. You can see that once again, the artwork sort of wraps around. That artwork pretty much lets you know what they're all about and the sound. And I have to say, it's probably one of the more prettier, beautiful black metal albums. And many times on this album, they actually go quite far away from black metal. So there's some quite long passages where it's acoustic. One song in particular, there's quite a long section where it's male and female clean vocals, almost like they're doing a duet. And there's many times through the album where it's not fast and furious at all. There are those moments, but but I would probably say overall it's about 65-35, so about 65% atmospheric black metal, and about the other 35% where it's not really that at all. It's quite folky and pagan and that sort of style. A very beautiful album, a very sort of, I don't know if pretty is the right word, but it's meant to be a black metal album that's sort of serene and invokes sort of feelings of being out in nature. And as I said, there is a bit of a Tolkien vibe. I think they were more in a Tolkien sort of vibe in their early part of their career. I can't remember when this band started. 2007, I think. I'm pretty sure it was 2007. Anyway, this is their fourth album. And one thing I want to show you, just thought I'd show you. You get a sticker, that's nice. You get good things like that. But here's something very interesting that I got with this album. And it's called the Ice and... Sean at Mostly Metal, you might like this sort of stuff. It's called the Ice and Tribune. And this came in the actual box with the CD. And at first I thought it was just going to be like a story about Elder, but it's like the bands that are on... yeah, I can't read that. Hang on. Oh, I don't want to take too long. I'll see if I can read. I've got my glasses nearby. Oh, Ice and Wild. That's right. That's the name of the label. And so what this booklet is, yeah, of course, it's called the Ice and Tribune. No. So it's the Ice and Tribune, and what it is, it's like it's a little a local newspaper, an old ye newspaper of the area. And what they've done is, it's so clever. So these are some of the artists on the label. So there's one of the bands, and it's got the down there in the description where they're from, what's available by them, and a description. Really well done. So there's the page on Elder. See, it's got where they're from. Oh, there we go. I was right. Active since 2007. Trust your knowledge, Chris. And yeah, so there's a description on them and all, and then on there's another band that's on the label as well, and it's got info about them. Oh, I thought that's really cool. You know, I keep all this sort of stuff, but you know, that's something that I really appreciate. Just labels and bands doing those extra things to just go, you know what? Thanks for buying physical music. We're going to make it worth your while. We're going to show that we're putting effort into our art, not just making music. We're putting effort into the whole package. So yeah, Elder. And it's called A Distant Fire. Only 6 songs on there. Absolutely fantastic. So there we have it. That's what I've been listening to. A lot of new releases, not completely new to me. Most of them I've had them for a little while now. And thank you all for watching. I'm trying to get a bit more back to sort of regular doing videos, but the hours are just brutal. But I'll try and keep on. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you soon.